Hi everybody, today I'm talking about how do you find those undervalued comics or collectibles. Let's get to it. So a lot of people always ask me, how do you find these comics? Or is this a good one? Or is that a good collectible? And, it's tough because it depends on, a lot of things. Where are you at in the collecting process? Obviously, how many gems do you have? It's a kind of a loaded question. But today I wanted to talk about how I go about identifying and when I buy a collectible or a comic. I kind of think of them as the same now. We're always trying to find good deals. That's the key. And so I have kind of 3 steps I go through. I wanted to share those, so let's get right into it. Okay, so the first thing you have to identify is what is the market doing? So right now it's January 6th, 2022, and the market is just it's rocketing up. All of the collectibles are going up. Well, not all of them, as we'll discuss. And so, every day it seems like, oh, Todd was, 5,000, now it's 5.2 or whatever it might be. And so you have to know that the market as a whole is going up. Now, in some situations, the market's going down, and that may be for a variety of reasons. Maybe there's some news that is causing people to sell off their collectibles, or perhaps there's a big drop coming. Maybe they're dropping some huge Star Wars thing or Disney thing or whatever it might be, and so people are selling everything to get gems so they can buy that thing when it drops. And so you kind of have to have a good feel. What is the market doing? Is it going up? Is it going down? Or is it actually kind of very stable? Because there was a period of time right before the new year where it felt like all the prices were staying the same. And that was maybe about a week or 2 period too. So it's good to understand that, because within that concept, that's when you're going to go try and find the outliers and make some buying decisions. So that's my first one, is know what the market is doing. Okay, number 2 is and this is kind of a funny way to say it, but you have to have an idea for something. And I know that's weird and that's probably ambiguous. But so, I look at things and you're just thinking about things. And so one of the ones I had talked about before, for example, which is still a relatively cheap collectible. And that's what I want to do for this video, is talk about cheap ones. Not, don't go buy, you have to buy a Rizzo. No, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. I think it's 14,000 or something like that right now. So let's be reasonable about our purchases here. So the one that I've identified a lot, many others have too, is Storm. Storm is one that right away I loaded up on. And when I say loaded up, I bought multiple of them because such a great character. And I know people weren't buying them, but it was very reminiscent of what happened with even Spider-Man, which is funny now, where they really came out and just kind of sat around 50, 60, maybe even 70 gems and just sat there for, I think like a month or more. And eventually it got enough hands and the price took off, and we've seen what has happened to Spider-Man. I think Storm will be the same. A lot of other people do too. But my concept for it was really, I thought that she's the first X-Men, and then they're going to release a lot of the other X-Men characters, and then you're going to want to have all the collectibles and have all of the X-Men together, the entire team. And I thought that was when she would really take off. And so the commons and the uncommons are around 50 gems, very reasonable. So that is definitely one that I thought of. Now, see, once again, I have the idea. Is it going to work? I don't know. But for 50 gems, I was willing to take a chance on some of those. So that's what I mean. The second thing is you really have to have an idea. So let's talk about some other ideas. So kind of playing off of that concept of people like the X-Men, I thought of the comic X-Men 129. So X-Men 129 is the first appearance of Kitty Pryde, who isn't as major a character as, say, for example, Storm on the X-Men team, but is a major X-Men character. Same concept. I think people that are X-Men fans, they're going to want to have all of the first appearances of all the comics. We don't really have, for example, we have X-Men 4, which should be Scarlet Witch, and X-Men 129. The only reason why I pick X-Men 129 is it is $10 or $11 for the common. So do you want to take a shot on that? Is it a chance that that would go up? Yes. Now, here's the other thing you always have to think about is, how long is this going to take and how willing are you to wait? For me, I always think of things in years because I'm used to comics. You know, a lot of times, as I said before, you have to wait 5 years for a comic to really catch fire. And so I think they're going to release a lot more X-Men comics. I think they're going to release X-Men collectibles. And so those are some that I would take you put in the money now, but you do have to wait. I also like X-Men, so I don't mind holding those comics whatsoever. So that was another one I have for you, X-Men 129. Okay, so, but you can see how one idea leads to another, and then you're kind of like, All right, so let's look at some other ones. Another thing that I try to look at is if something is really going up, are some other collectibles going to follow it? And a lot of times it's a set. So within that set, if a bunch of them are going up, maybe some of the other ones will go up as well because people want to complete that set. So the example I have is Batgirl. Batgirl is oscillating now around between 80 and 100 gems. So not super, super expensive, break the bank. Some of the other ones, like Supergirl in that set, and especially Catwoman, have gone up quite a bit. So maybe they'll pull up Batgirl. So that's another kind of concept I've had. Oh wow, this is really so. Of course they said that with all the Batman, the first Batman set, is some of the other ones are pulling up. Maybe it'll pull the other ones up too, and it did. You saw that. So that's another. When I see something like that, that's another. I go look at all the pieces of the set, but it doesn't have to always be in the set. So one that I always looked at, and actually it was stagnant forever, was the Carmine Robin. And of course, Robin is always paired with Batman. And as we know, Todd and all the Batmans have been pulling up. And my thought process is, well, eventually someone's going to want to have Batman and Robin in their vault. So that's probably going to pull Batman. And yes, you were able to see, and I think it was like one day it exploded. Carmine exploded. The Carmine Robin exploded to, I think it doubled to 2K. So seeing those types of pairs or sets, if one has moved up, maybe the other is going to too. That's something to look at. All right, the third one is you're looking for collectibles. And I always look for big names. Like I generally, as much as I love a lot of the independent artists, I generally, and I do own some of that, but I'm not necessarily thinking that that could jump as much as kind of the bigger name brands, Disney, Marvel, etc., DC. And so the ones of the Disney ones, of course, are ones you want to look at. Well, Mickey Mouse obviously is huge. It came out only a couple weeks ago, and it shot way up. And so I've been watching it, and I haven't bought any of them. I know the ultra rare Steam Wheel has really been, super, super hot. But even that has come down in price a little bit now. But the common one is the one I was looking at, and actually it got all the way up to 500, and then it has kind of pulled back a little bit. And so, but interesting, in this huge pump where all these prices are going up, the common Mickey Mouse is actually falling. And since it's so different, and that's my third one I have for you, is there a collectible that's a big brand name, but it's, doing something different than the market? That's something to look at. And so I am very much interested to watch what happens with the common Mickey Mouse. As it falls, I think it's at 380 now. I think it was, as I said, it was at 500. I'm going to make sure that I watch it, and maybe that is a potential one to pick up. So that's what I have for you today. I really appreciate you guys watching. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.